Good day, and welcome to Rags to Riches Owner Sharing Experiences. And by the way, happy St. Patrick's Day. I must say it is definitely a lucky St. Patrick's Day for you all today because you are about to see a really great webinar. We are being joined today by Shirley Prilinsky and Rich Reese, who both do have company vehicles. We're going to talk about company vehicles, what benefits they are to your company, if they are benefits, and what it would cost for you to have that benefit and how much of a pain it is to run company cars. So I am so excited about this, and I so thank Shirley and Rich for all of their time because it really does take a lot of time to do these webinars. Rich was just saying that. So thank you both so much. And I do want you to know, anybody who knows me, I'm way too tight to pay these people for this, so they're doing this all for free. So thank you both very much. Today I want to first welcome back Shirley Prilinsky. She hasn't been with us for about 4 months, a great lady. So Shirley, tell us a little bit about your company for those people who have not seen you before.
Okay, I'm Shirley Prilinsky from S&G Cleaning Service in New Jersey. We've been in business for 11 years. Right now we have 212 repeat clients. We have 17 full-time cleaners. We work in a team of 2 people, and our turnover rate in the last quarter was only 15%, which is being the best that ever it's been our company. We also have 2 people at the office plus me. So that's a little bit about me.
Phenomenal, Shirley. That percentage turnover rate is unheard of in any industry. We're going to see a similar one from Rich. I can't help but think that company cars make all of that difference because we have them, we love them, I would never live without them, but 15% turnover people would kill for, Shirley. Of course, then I also have to say, hopefully if that was in the last quarter and it's the lowest you ever had, gosh, when did we start working together, Shirley? Was that this quarter? I'm so
Exactly.
Rich, welcome back. Rich, what a treat. We haven't seen Rich in about 2 years. He, of course, has continued to grow and grow and grow. So, Rich, tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
All right, my name is Rich Reese. I own Top Job Cleaning in Des Moines, Iowa. I've been in business for 11 years. We have a little over 1,200 customers, repeat. We have 75 full-time cleaners. We operate in teams of 3. We have 21 teams of 3, and we have 2 teams of 6. Those were our original 2 teams, the teams of 6. But after those, we went to teams of 3. It was much easier to manage. Our turnover runs us anywhere from 15 to 20% at any given time. We have 3 people in our office, and we also have an outside bookkeeping and accounting firm, and then there's me.
15 to 20%, Rich. Simply amazing. And that's got to make it a lot easier to manage that many people.
Absolutely.
So, I would think, Rich. So let's go back to Shirley. Shirley, did you always have company vehicles?
Yes, always.
So what in the world made you make that decision from the start? Because it's a huge and expensive decision to come right out of the hopper. So how did you start and how did you do this?
Yeah, when I start hiring people and I see what kind of cars they drive, I really didn't want the image for my company. I didn't want them to drive their old cars, leaking oil all over my customer's driveway. No, that's why I decided to go with my own cars.
And you said you started in your personal vehicle cleaning with 2 other people, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so kind of just when you started hiring the first person, past that first vehicle, you went, this is not going to work.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Because we drive a nice van, and I didn't want to start using their old cars.
Okay. Okay. Rich, have you always had company vehicles?
No, not always. When we first started out, when I had my first team, they drove their own vehicle. It was very old, and it dripped oil in my customer's driveway. It was just a mess. My customers were unhappy, so I resorted to putting cardboard or like aluminum sheet pans under their cars so that it would catch the oil. That worked for about 2 days, and then I tried implementing a process that they would park on the street in front of the houses. That didn't work because they wanted to be as close to the door as possible because they had to carry all these vacuums, dusters, mops, you name it, into these houses. So anyway, once I got sick and tired of it, I ended up buying vehicles.
Perfect. Rich and I have had a discussion about the oil on the driveways because our old cars do leak it once in a while, and these girls will not park on the street. So I will tell you all that acid wash and a power washer works great on the driveway. It's just in case you ever have to go there. Our carpet and window person was probably better at that than carpets and windows. Okay, let's stick with Rich. So Rich, now that you've had these cars and lots of years of experience with them, what do you think are the 5 most valuable assets contributing to your company by providing vehicles?
Number one is security. It's security for our supervisors. They drive those cars home at night, and they also can drive those cars. They cannot leave the area that we service, but they can drive those cars on their own, if they need to go drop a child off at daycare or need to run to the store. So that is one of the biggest things.
I'm going to interrupt you there for a second, and this isn't even on the PowerPoint, Rich, but people are going to ask, how much problem have you had with this? Like, have you had accidents because you let them use it on the weekend? Can you tell me in the 11 years how many off-related accidents or situations you had with people bringing your cars home?
Knock on wood, Sharon, we have never had an accident outside of work time. So, our accidents have been during the day, during snowstorms during the day. We haven't had any at night. Until that happens, I probably won't change this policy.
Great. Good. Continue.
Okay. It makes it so we have almost no turnover. Our employees are not beating up their own vehicles. They're not having bleach stains and everything else in the backs of them. If you look in these cars after one day, they look like, maids have lived in them. So, they have food wrappers all over the place. And, we do make them clean them, but, it's maids living in a car all day cleaning, 6, 7, 8 houses. So, and they don't have to, they don't even need to have a car. So if they are working for us, they can get by without having to have a vehicle, because our supervisors, how it works is they pick up their partners in the morning. So actually none of the employees need cars, because we are like a cab service in the morning. We pick up the other 2 partners and off to go to the first job. Perfect.
Perfect. And you said it had an impact on your turnover because also they don't have a car to look for another job, right?
Exactly, because how are they going to get there unless it's on a bus line?
Okay, very good, very good. And your third reason?
I don't have to listen to complaints every day. When I first had, when I had the first team and it was, they were driving their own vehicle. They wanted me to fix it, to have they wanted me to pay to have it fixed, to have the oil leak stopped so I wouldn't have calls from the customers. And, every time it broke, they wanted me to take care of it, and I wasn't going to put up with that. That just wasn't how it was going to work. And then, but my fourth reason is they can't, if they don't have a car, they can't steal your customers to clean them, on the side. So, anyway, it helps us with recruiting. The team leader doesn't need a car, and the partners don't need a car. It works very smooth.
Perfect, perfect. So do you have a tendency to prefer people who don't have a car?
Usually. It's easier.
Really bizarre.
And there's many people that don't have, when you're hiring cleaners, or partners, it's a low-wage position, and they might only have one car in the family, and the husband drives it to his roofing job. So, they've got to do something.
Perfect, perfect. Shirley, you got some very similar reasons, but let's go through your 5 most valuable assets. And
okay,
the first one is a little different from Rich's, to say the least. I do have to say that. So why don't you cover that first company image one? That's interesting.
Yes, half of my cars are wrapped, and I use a border system to border cleaning and get them wrapped. And the other cars have signs, and it's the way you look. So the company image, it looks professional, it looks clean, it has the company logo, it's all about the reputation, and so I really like to have that, to have the ability of advertise, have my cars all over the place, and be seen with a good image. So it's good for marketing. It's good when we are cleaning the house, the cars are parked in people's door, and the neighbors are seeing our cars there, and they usually, neighbors like to have what the other one has, so they always call us to get the pricing, so this is all good. You know, the other reason is I couldn't trust my employees' vehicles to be my client's house. They are not reliable, and so I think as we are now, we look more professional. We look like a well-established company, and I almost feel like you look like, you know, just a cleaning lady if you have that old car leaking oil all over the place. And so we definitely look more professional. And we have a reliable transportation for our employees as well. So they know they can get to work every day, they can get back home every day, they can pick up their kids. It's very reliable.
And for the clients as well, because they know that your team's going to be there, right?
Exactly.
And probably the same people because they've got a reliable car, so you probably don't, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but I know in our company, our people wanted to see the same people, and they could do that because if their car broke down, we brought them another one, and that team ended up at that house.
Yes.
Okay, your third reason.
Okay, employee retention. Definitely it's the same reason as Rich. It's, you know, they don't want to go nowhere. They have a car. They don't need to use, you know, their personal car. Most of my employees, they do have one car in the family that has to be shared by at least 2 or 3 people. So now they don't have to share that car. It's probably why we're being so successful with employee retention. And in the past 4 months, even more, because we would not allow them to take the cars home. This is a new thing that you came up with. Was your idea 4 months, you know, ago? They couldn't take the cars home. Now they can, and that's why we increased the retention rate.
Oh, really? That is, well, then I did have an impact, Shirley. I was kidding when I said that. So let me ask you, have you had any issues with that yet, Shirley?
Say it again?
Let me ask you, like I asked Rich, have you had any issues with that yet as far as them taking the cars home? Any problems?
No, I have GPS tracking systems in the cars, and we can really, and they know that we are tracking. And sometimes I don't even look, but just to have the tracking system in the car makes a big difference.
That
because
is
they just,
huge. And we didn't discuss that. That's nowhere on the PowerPoint, Shirley. What does that tracking system cost?
$14 a month per car.
Oh, cheap.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, is that cheap?
But the whole equipment to install is $400 upfront cost.
Oh, okay.
And after that, it's a monthly payment of $14 just for the tracking, for the report.
Okay. Probably some of the best money you've ever spent, I would think.
Yes.
That's a very good idea. You were also talking a little bit about employee recruiting and how much it helped you with the recruiting.
Yes.
Do you think that's true? I mean, do you usually have a plethora of people wanting to work for you because you have company cars? That's what I noticed in our company.
Oh, yeah. I have people coming all the time, oh, I have a car. And I say, oh, thank you, but we don't need your car. You drive ours. And they open their eyes, and it's like, oh, my God, that's great. So they really, it helps. They are impressed. And, again, we are passing the image of a established company, and in opposing to, okay, you have to start tomorrow with your car, we're going to be using your car, and you know, it is different. I really think you pass the image of a professional company to the employee as well.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because when you said image, I was thinking only the client, but you're right. You are also passing on a professional image to the employee. So very good point, Shirley. Let's stick with you. Let's talk about the cars you choose. And I have to tell you, audience, you're going to get the biggest kick out of this, because this is like Jekyll and Hyde. We have Shirley with one type, and we have Rich with the other, and this is great for you to see both sides. So, Shirley, tell us about your cars. How many do you have?
Okay, we have total 9 vehicles, counting with mine, because I use for work as well. But mine is out of the, you know, the house cleaning field. We use mine more for quality check. And so let's say we have the 8 cars that are in the field at all the time. And we bought some of them brand new, and was too expensive, and I would not do this again. We don't need a brand new car out of the box. And all the other ones are used with low mileage.
Hey, interesting. And when you say old with low mileage, what are you talking about?
We never buy a car with more than 30,000 miles on it. That's my limit. The last one I bought last month has 22,000. It's a Chevy Aveo with 22,000 miles.
And what year was that, Shirley?
2010.
2010. Wow. Okay, so some of them are actually only a year. Well, I guess it is 2 years old now, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, years go by. Do you buy the same vehicle?
Yes, we've been buying Chevy Aveos. Unfortunately, they discontinue as of at the end of the year, last year. They don't make the Chevy Aveos no more, unfortunately. But we also like the Ford Focus. They are affordable, and if you get them with the low mileage, you're going to get at least 5-6 years with no major problems to deal with. Just oil change, batteries, tires, and you're good to go.
Interesting. Now, when we first talked about this, you said, no, you didn't use the same vehicles. I don't want our audience to think we're contradicting each other here. Did you say in the very beginning you didn't? You tried for a while to see which was the best vehicle, but now you are deciding to go with the same one?
Yeah. In the beginning, we didn't know what works. So we tried the Neons, we tried the Ford Focus, we tried even a Jeep, Hyundai's Accent, all of them, and the small cars. And we find out that this is the best value and the best maintenance, low maintenance. It's cheap maintenance as well. So it is the best. And now the second choice would be the Ford Focus because they discontinued the Aveo, and the next one in line to replace the Aveo is it's going to be, it's called Sonic, and it's going to be very expensive for the next 2 years, and then they're going to drop the price.
Okay, so we'll look at that in about 3 years. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, you normally pay how much for them, and you pay cash or payments?
$10,000, and I make payments, and I try to keep my payments at no more than $200 a month, and yeah.
And that pays them off in what, 3 years?
No, it's more like 6 years.
Oh, 6 years. So you're just getting them paid off as you're needing a new one. Okay, interesting.
Not a new one. We need to get more heavy, start getting more heavy service on them.
Oh, okay. So you'll keep them, but it'll take a little more maintenance. Okay,
yes.
Very good. Do you carry collision and general liability? I suppose you would have to if you have payments.
Yes.
Okay, and that runs you how much?
About $1,000 per year per car.
Okay, okay. And your gasoline, what does that run you?
Yeah, it's each car, the average is about $166 a month because the gas went up, so I had to recalculate, right? So it's about $166 a month per car.
And then your total cars, the general liability, the collision, all the costs together is what percentage of your gross?
7 to 8%.
7 to 8%. Okay.
Yeah.
Rich, we got a flip going on here now. Rich, how many company cars do you have?
We have 29. We have, we use GEO Metros. We do have a few vans in there, and my car is in there as well.
Okay.
So we
is
always
your car
buy
used
used.
too, Rich? As used as your other one?
No.
Okay.
And it doesn't have the bleach stains on it.
But you always buy used ones, you said.
Always. Have never bought a new one.
Okay. And when you say new, you mean, well, continue here. So tell us about your vehicle.
All of our cars are used Geo Metros, hatchback. They're old. They're in the early to mid-90s. When we bought them, they had 60 to 80,000 miles on them. I never paid much more than around $3,000 for them. And that, as far as what they have now, they have most all of them have over between 200,000 and 300,000 miles on them, and they're still running with very little maintenance.
Very good.
We do what we need to do to fix them, but we don't do anything extra.
Okay. Do you always use the same vehicle? Yeah, you said
always because, yep, always because if you crunch one or one breaks down, you can use it for parts and pieces.
Okay. And we talked about the safety factor, too, in having similar vehicles.
Well, safety is when they get in them, they know where. They know where the windshield wipers are. They know, they're not looking around when they're driving for different things.
And that,
in the
I
car,
think,
they're always the same.
Because up north it gets very dark very early, and you're from up north. It gets dark very early, and that's
in the wintertime when it's 4:30 and there's still a house left, they're driving in the dark.
Yes.
So, and they know where the lights are because this is before automatic lights. You have to get in and flip the lights on.
That's right. That's right. And you said you paid $35 to $38, and I assume you pay cash then?
Always.
Okay.
Always cash.
So that will change your insurance situation.
I only carry general liability on them. I want to say that per year on those, it runs somewhere between $300 and $400 depending on the year per year, but depending on what year the car is. My older ones, it's less. My newer ones, it's a little bit more. The ones that are in the later 90s, it's a little bit more. But I will say, when you do buy old cars, when you go to, at least in our state, when you go to license them, they qualify for the minimum license payment. So, if you were to buy a new car, it would probably cost me $450 to license each one of those cars a year. Since I do buy old cars in our state, it only does cost $30 to license those per year.
Okay. And then I have to ask you, Rich, is your general liability insurance affected by the newness of the car? Wouldn't that only be collision?
What did you say?
Is your general liability payment affected by the year of the car, or wouldn't that only be collision insurance?
It's only collision.
Okay, so your general liability is like $400, because you had said it depends upon how new the car is.
Correct. So if there's one that's like 97 over 91, but the one that's 97 is it costs a little bit more.
If you have collision on it.
Correct, exactly.
And you don't have collision, right?
We don't have collision.
Okay, so you're paying the same amount of money for every car in general liability?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure we were clear on that so people didn't get confused on that. What does your gasoline run you?
Our teams run about one tank for every week and a half, and it costs about, right now it's costing about $30 to fill those. When gas was less, it was probably about 25 to 26. So, we are spending a little bit more right now on gas for those cars. As far as my what percentage do my cars run, it runs about 2.5% of my gross, which is about $80,000 a year, and that includes the maintenance, the cars, the gas, it's everything. So, but this year I'm expecting that to go up. I do need to purchase these cars are really getting old and they're starting to break down more. So I probably need to buy some more cars. So this year I'm budgeting for about 6%.
Okay. And you did say when you see a good car, you pick it up, even if you don't
Exactly.
need it.
If I don't need it, because when you have this many cars, there's always one breaking down. You need an extra someplace. So.
Okay, good. Rich, let's stick with you on maintenance then, because obviously your maintenance is going to be a lot more than Shirley's maintenance, and that's going to be a big difference here. Now your employees take your cars home. We already answered that. Part of maintenance is also the gas situation, though. How do you handle the gasoline situation?
Our supervisors on each route, they have a gas card. and they fill that, and you have to audit that very closely to make sure that they didn't fill gas on Friday and then fill again on Monday. So, you know, their gas needs to be probably 7 to 10 days from the last time that they filled. So that's kind of how we do that. So anyway,
how do you handle the maintenance like the oil changes?
The oil changes, we do them every 4 months. We don't pay attention to you know, the amount of miles that's driven. We don't do them every 3,000 miles because sometimes they drive more, sometimes they drive less. It just kind of depends. We do it every 4 months. It's the supervisor's responsibility. Since they drive that car home, they have to take it to the man that services all of our vehicles, and they do it on a Saturday morning, and we give them $20 to do that.
Okay. And if they don't, like, who maintains that scheduling then? Since you don't.
Well, we have a mechanic. He's taken care of all of our cars for, you know, from the day that we've had them, and what he does is he keeps notebooks on them all. All of our cars are numbered, and so he'll call us up and be like, you know, we haven't seen car 16 and it's been 5 months. So then we'll get after that supervisor to get that thing to the mechanic as soon as possible.
Very good.
So he usually waits till about 5 months before he calls us, just because sometimes around the holidays the girls get really, really busy. You know, they might pick up a couple extra jobs on Saturday, you know, people with Christmas parties, whatnot. You know, it does get kind of hectic. So he usually lets it float to 5 months, but right at 5 months he's calling us to get that car in there.
Great, great. Now, let me ask you before we talk about the breakdowns, how many breakdowns do you think you average per week? Is that fair, or is it per day or per month, Rich?
Well, I would definitely say there's probably 2 to 3 issues a week with a car. Whether it's something like windshield wipers, the blades are broken on them, or you know, whether it's a door handle won't open because these are old style door handles. Those break daily, it seems like. You know, it seems like somebody's always got a broken door handle, so then, you know, you have to call through the car to get out of it. So anyway, you know, that probably, you know, 2 to 3 a week, you know.
Okay. So
and there's usually, I'd probably say
there'd
be, well, let me back up. There'd probably be one instance a week where it would need to be towed. You know, I would say that we're probably towing a car once a week. Our mechanic does handle that. He does go out and pick up the car. He is the best man we've ever met. He takes care of these cars like they're his children. So, and he keeps the old broken down cars until all the pieces are gone, and then he trashes it. So.
And you said that you trade with the mechanic for housekeeping?
Yep, we do a partial trade. You know, we do clean his house, you know, him and his wife, and we also pay them as well. So.
Yeah, you said $35 an hour, which is a great rate for a mechanic, to say the least. And then, Rich, explain to us how, okay, so this car breaks down. The mechanic is going to come and pick it up if they have to. But let's say it's a flat tire, or let's say the mechanic does have to pick it up. How does your team keep going then?
Our supplies person from the office, he's supposed to be on call from 6 o'clock in the morning on. And so we call him, and or if he's at the office, you know, we notify him. He works in the back. He gets in another car, gets out there, takes all of the supplies from the car that's broken down, dumps them in the working car, and the team brings the supply person back to the office, and they're at their next job. It's, from end to end, it takes about 35 to 45 minutes, no more. So it happens very quickly, you know, and then then our mechanic goes out and picks up the cars, so, or takes care of whatever needs to do, and, you know, if it's a flat tire, he changes it, and, you know, we get the car and we're on our way. So it works out very smooth that way. You know, if anything, we try to have, you know, if the girls know there's an issue going on with the car, we try to have them take it to the mechanic so we're not stuck on the side of the road with 3 maids. Perfect.
8 spare cars it takes to keep those going, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
Probably could use 12 some days.
Okay. So, Shirley, we're going to go back to you, and you're probably thinking, boy, I did make a good call, because Shirley made a statement to me that she wants to run the cleaning service and not a car shop. So let's flip back to Shirley. Shirley, again, your employees take them home, so how do you handle the gasoline situation?
Okay. you're going to be amazed by that. But everybody tap it in for a little bit of gas. So my helpers help me with $15 a week. They pay me for gasoline, and my drivers $10 a week. So we collect about $700 a month to help us with the gasoline that they spend to go back and forth from home to the first house and pick up the kid in school and pick up the helpers. So they all help.
I am amazed by that. Only you, Shirley, would think of that. I should have had that on the PowerPoint. So, okay, but do they have charge cards or how? I mean, obviously.
Oh, we have just one gas station by 3 miles from our office that I trust. They have all car plates, and that's the only gas station they can use, because I had them before using different gas stations, but the people don't control if they are filling up their own cars or a private car or the friend's car. So that way I know, you know, it's this, our gas station takes care of control that they only fill up the company car and not their personal cars in Friday and Monday. So I don't even have to control that because my gas station does. And they send me all this, the receipts, and then I check the receipts to make sure the gas station is doing their job and checking and make sure they are filling up just only our cars.
Now that's interesting, Shirley. So everybody must eventually go by. Austin was so big that my north side people never went south and my south side people never went north. So you must have an ideal situation in that everybody is always passing this gas station at least once or twice a week.
Well, they come back to our office every day to get their schedule. The gas station is 3 miles from our office, so they have to come for the schedule, so they stop by and fill it up.
Got it, okay. I forgot your people were still coming in every day. I guess I haven't gone down that road with you yet. We'll have to talk about that, Shirley. Rich sees this once every 2 weeks. So how many breakdowns have you had in 10 years, Shirley? Get ready for this, Rich.
Yeah, I probably, that I remembered like 3. Okay. Maybe, yeah. Yes. Maybe I'm forgetting.
Not every week.
Maybe I'm forgetting one in there, but it's not more, like nothing bigger than 3 or 4 in 10 years, no.
Wow. And then you do use a tow truck and they use your car then?
Yes.
Okay. And tell us about your oil changes.
Yeah, that's because my mechanic go over the car to make sure we do preventive maintenance. So at the oil change, he goes over everything in the car to make sure nothing is going to explode or break or, you know, nothing's urgent. So we take the cars every 1.5 months, the top 2 months to get the oil change and check it out and make sure nothing's going to break in the next week. And if you will, we just leave the car there to get whatever fixed to prevent that towing truck. I can't deal with that. I can't. Rich, I really, like, I'm amazed. Like, I'm really amazed that you can handle that. I can't handle towing trucks. Car problems. I guess because I'm a woman and I'm proud of that, and I just want to keep like that.
It's 2 entirely different ways. Now, I would tell you, audience, I operated like Rich, but I had a phenomenal carpet and window person who took care of all the cars. So, yeah, I mean, I couldn't change a tire if my life depended on it, but I always had somebody who could do that. So I see where you're coming from. And you did say if the employee changes the oil, you give them $5.
$5, yes.
And if the office can't handle it, then like Rich gives $20 to the employee to change it on a Saturday morning, you give $5 to your employee. So that's interesting too. Rich, you could take some bottom line lessons here from Shirley. So Shirley, do you have spare cars?
No,
that's yours right now, right?
Yeah, right now they can use mine if they need to. We don't have, you know, breakdowns. We don't have anything happening unexpected with the cars. So they, you know, I don't know, it's been a couple months before, like the last time they had to use my car, but if they need, they can use my car as a spare.
Perfect, perfect. So now let's talk about the revenue. Now that we've talked about the cars and everything else that's cost us some money here, let's talk about whether or not we get any money back from these cars. And Shirley, I'm going to stick with you on that. How is your company placed on your cars? And you talked a little bit about it. Tell us a little bit about the wrap and what that cost you. Well, you trade it, but what would it cost if you didn't trade it?
$3,000.
Woo!
Yeah, it's very expensive in New Jersey. The wrap cars here are very, very expensive.
And what does the vinyl name cost?
This, the vinyl names is just like $400 for both sides. And now I found another solution that's not in our PowerPoint that's called half wrap. And that runs into $1,200.
And what does it wrap?
Half wrap, it contains, it's a mix between the sign and the full wrap. It's a half wrap. And
I mean, does it wrap like the hood then in the trunk, or what does it wrap?
Yeah, it's basically the middle of the car.
Oh, okay.
It's just the all around, just in the middle, and it makes perfect sense. That's what you need to see.
Yeah, exactly. It does make sense. Very good. Is that what you will go to then, is the half wraps when you get a new one?
Yeah, so exactly. The last proof that I sent you, you can use this, the picture. Yeah. It's a half wrap.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll put that on the newsletter.
Yes.
And how many sales do you average then from these wrapped cars?
Not many people call here and say, I just saw your car and I want to sign up. Not many. But many, many people, wherever I go and I say, I'm Shirley from S&G Clean, I saw your car. And so I see you everywhere. That's what they say. And this is my cars. Oh, you have so many cars. How many cars do you have? I see you everywhere. So everybody always see me everywhere because we just have really 8 cars running around. But they are in different locations all the time, so people see us everywhere. And this is definitely counts for our marketing, for the branding, the brand recognition, that's all counts. And so when the people call here, it's not because they saw our ad in a postcard or in the internet, because they see us everywhere and then they saw us online and then they decide to call. So I think this is great for brand recognition more than
Yeah. And really, Shirley, I mean, don't diminish the fact you did go through your numbers tightly, and you had 6 repeat sales last year, all repeats from the cars. You know, most people are thrilled if they can sell. Well, our benchmark, as me as a consultant in this industry, for the average company is 1 net sale per week. Now, there are the Shirley Perlinskis who are trying to do 2 a week, and the Rich Reeses, we don't even want to go there. But the average person is thrilled if they have 50 repeat clients a year, because not many people you talk to who's been in business 4 years has 200 repeat clients. I think it's an easy number, but you took 1.5 months of those numbers and got them out of your company car. So that really is a good volume. I would also like to tell you all that I was talking to Stacy Sadler on the phone on Friday or the other day, and she said, I told her I was doing this, and she said, I did 27% of my sales last year off of her company cars, and she did a really good number, something like 80 repeat sales last year. So she got a lot of them. So that's a very good number that you can get back besides the recruiting efforts and all of the other things that makes life easier. Now, Rich, of course, again, has a totally different story to tell us about his cars. So go through your history of your cars and what happened in your city, Rich.
Okay. Our name's not placed on the cars. In the, I'd say probably the early 90s, maybe mid-90s, there was there's a sting of robberies that were going around from all of the companies. This was back when, like, Mary Maids had their names on their cars and Molly Maids had their names on their cars. And, that was pretty much the only competition that we had when we started. And crooks, thieves, were following these cars around and checking to see if the house doors were unlocked. So if they were casing a house to see if there was Molly Maid car was there every Tuesday morning, they would go up and go in and break, go in through the front door if the door was open and take stuff out of the house. So there went through this big period where people would call and ask if our names were on the cars. And there were people killed in homes. I mean, it was just kind of a nasty situation. So we did have some names on the cars. We peeled them off and have never put them on since. And occasionally we still do get a call, wondering if names are on our cars, and we do not have them on the car. So it works out very well that way.
So really, Rich, that kind of takes care of the image problem that Shirley said in driving old cars. Maybe you don't want to put the names right.
People showed up.
And I do have to say, our cars were a bit beat up too, but we never did. I mean, we still got phone calls and people said they saw us everywhere. They just didn't, I guess, mention. You can't have your cars looking terrible. They have to be clean. And Rich, I've seen your cars, even though they are old. You sent me 5 pictures of them yesterday. They look great, and I will probably put a picture of your car in the newsletter as well, because I mean, we're making mincemeat out of you here, and really, they look fine. Nobody would know that they don't have door handles and maybe a floor. Okay.
Just pick one that has one color.
Yeah, and he's saying that because I had a company car once that everybody called a Christmas tree car because it was smashed 2 times so fast, one behind the other, we never had time to paint it. And it had a green door, a red door, and a white body. And the customers used to call it, the Christmas tree car. Now, we did eventually fix that, but a little embarrassing for a while. But when you got to clean houses, the cleaning comes before the painting, no doubt about it. So, Rich, I have to ask you, would you ever go back to not having company vehicles again?
Oh, I mean, some days they're a headache, when they're breaking down and whatnot. But I would never go without them. I mean, it brings quality to your life because you don't have people quitting on you. It's the best decision.
Very good, Shirley. Or no, let me ask you another thing. And obviously rehearsed. Is there anything else you want to add? Because this is a very interesting scenario that you told me about your competitor. Why don't you go through that scenario with our audience?
Okay. Well, I was talking with one of my competitors, and she pays, they drive their own cars, and she pays $5 a house to the person driving the car. So if they do 3 jobs that day, they get $15. And so just say we cleaned about 26,000 homes last year. So if I were to have paid $5 for all of those homes that we cleaned, so if you take 26,000 jobs times $5, I would be looking at $130,000. Last year, in order to run my cars, it ran me $80,000. The total cost to run the Metro's runs with insurance, gas, all of that runs about 13 cents per mile. So it was just kind of an interesting statistic. How you can either spend $130,000 or $80,000. So
you were also telling me that you thought you want to run through the little. If they're spending $1,000 on advertising, you're suggesting don't do it for 3 months and buy a car, huh?
I absolutely believe that. So. The car, once you have the car, you'll grow. Your employees will be happy. Those problems will be taken care of. It'll just work out very smoothly.
Very good, Rich. Thank you. Shirley, would you ever go back to not having company vehicles?
No. Everybody loves our company vehicles. And because they look good and they are newer, the maids feel good about it. They are proud of our cars. When we get a new car, they're like, I'm the oldest in here, I should get that car. So it's a little bit of competition for the newer cars, but they feel good about it. I feel good about it. And I did have a car accident a long time ago, and I didn't fix for a while. And one of my clients sent me a card of her mechanic with the mates.
Wow.
She's like, tell Shirley that this is a very good guy. Just tell her that I already called him to take the car there to fix, because she was embarrassed to have that car in her door.
Wow, interesting.
That's how bad it is in New Jersey.
Wow, yeah, I'm here in Texas on the ranch where nobody can talk about me. And you did say that another thing you wanted to add, though, which is totally contradictory in a way to the scenario that Rich has going, is You want them to look decent, although riches do look decent, but because you said if they don't look decent, it's going to have the opposite effect on PR, correct?
Yes. And I'm talking about New Jersey. Like, we are very close to New York, and sometimes, you know, everybody here thinks we are, you know, better in some way, or we, at least if we are not that good as the New Yorkers, but we should look good. So there is a lot of concern about appearances and outside appearances. So that's why I say if you have a bad car, and I experienced the discrimination on that, you know, you're going to have a bad PR. And if you look good, you're going to have a good PR. If you look, you know, if your cars don't look good or clean or in good shape, you're going to have a bad PR.
Interesting. And
yeah.
I do want to point out here that this is, the two scenarios are so different between the two cities. Like you need a nicely wrapped car. Rich can't even put his name on his car. So one thing I do want to point out, when we do these webinars and we have sessions and we meet with other cleaning companies, make sure you bring that back and check your area before you implement it, because if you took your wrapped car to Rich's area, you wouldn't get a job. And if Rich took his car to your area, he wouldn't get a job. So it really
you see, that's perfect.
Yeah,
yeah.
You have to make sure that it matches what you can get by with in your area. And I think people make a mistake by saying to somebody, well, what do you pay, or what do you charge your clients? Make sure you're marketing to your area, which is interesting. So I have put Shirley's and Rich's number here. I assume, Rich and Shirley, you have no problems taking phone calls and emails. Is that right?
Anytime. If
Anytime.
anybody needs any help, I can definitely help them.
Rich, I understand you prefer your calls at 2 o'clock in the morning.
I do.
No, I'm really kidding, because I did give his name to a couple of clients. Please be careful, folks, not to call these people outside of working hours, because they have a life, too, outside of working hours. But I'm going to tell you right now, Shirley and Rich will spend a half an hour on the phone with you. I know them both very well, walking you through this and answering any questions that you would possibly have.
Definitely, anytime. Yeah.
So I'm gonna stick with these two and say, stop spending money on advertising for 3 months, buy a company car, because I always had a stack of applications on my desk of people wanting to work after we went to company cars. We went to company cars about 3 years after we started, and I never, ever, ever had a recruiting problem again. As a matter of fact, one of my supervisors left me when she had to drive her own car, and when she quit, she said, I'll be back and I'll just become a supervisor. I mean, you're going to always have an opening, Sharon. Well, she did come back as a partner, and she waited 2.5 years to get a supervisor's job, because I had some people who didn't leave, so I promoted them before her when I was growing, and it did. Nobody ever quit their supervisor's job after I went to company cars. It's just amazing. And the consistency for the clients, let's look at the numbers of these two people. Neither one of you, I don't think, would be there if you were driving your own car.
Yeah,
so I do want to ask you one more thing to really put in perspective. Shirley, how do you feel now if somebody did take them away? How would you recruit if you told somebody they were straight commission, you didn't pay for driving time between the two houses, and they had to take their own car? How would you recruit?
I would not. I would not have people to work for me to take the job.
Rich, what about you?
Oh, I'd probably be out of a business. I mean, it probably wouldn't work.
Amazing. So do you think this is the number one most important thing of running a company, is to have a company car?
I do. I really do. You have to have, yeah.
Amazing that we don't spend more time talking about this when we are at meetings, because it maybe is the number one most important thing. I mean, if you're going to market and get them, you got to clean them, and this whole thing wraps around that. So I do think it's interesting. Well, thank you both so much for your time. I mean, you are just stars, and hopefully you're going to help some owners become stars in their own companies because they take your advice, save $3 grand. Now, Shirley, I know you say not to do it that way, but I guess for companies that don't have credit, then they need to get $3 grand. But people who have credit what would it cost to get a person in a company car, Shirley? I mean, how much down would they need, and how cheaply could they get themselves into a company car?
Any car dealer in this country now, they are not even checking your credit. like the car market, it's so bad that they will advertise anywhere like we take bad credit. Because if you don't pay for the car, they come and take your car back. So you don't even need to have a good credit or any credit, because they can always.
How much down would you need, Shirley, to buy a car that costs $10,000? How much would they need?
You don't need anything down. You can, like, I usually put $1,000 down, but you don't need to put anything down. You can get a car as low as $200 down payment. And
then $200 a month is what yours are normally running you.
Yes.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. So if you don't have three, never mind giving up your advertising. Just do Shirley's route. Or I do have to say, because I am a farmer's daughter and very bottom line conscious, I would go Rich's route again, but I would hire somebody. My carpet window person paid for himself because he did carpets and windows, and the rest of the time he maintained our cars. So, well, thank you, everybody, so much. Rich, anything you want to add before we say goodbye?
Nope, I thought it was very interesting to hear the new car story. I was probably more interested about, seeing Shirley's numbers and, going about that. But I've been very fortunate that we have good people in our office to take care of all these broken down cars, because I don't think I've ever changed a tire or towed a car in my life. So, we've been very fortunate. So.
Well, great. Well, we might check up on you later, Rich, to see now that you have to buy new ones, if you Shirley convinced you, or if you're still going to become a car lot. So, again, thank you both so much. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
Thank you.
I hope you take a break tomorrow and have a good time and drink some green beer. And we'll talk to you. We'll talk
That's
to you
a good deal.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.